What are we, 128? Is that where we're at?
Yep. Yeah. Sorry, I was burping.
Oh, good God. Come on, Sean. A little professionalism once in a while, okay?
Well, we haven't recorded yet.
Well, I am recording, but it's just...
Oh
I can't.
God, there's the start.
If we ran Nintendo.
What is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 128 of If We Ran Nintendo. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by the greatest co-host in all the land, Sean Capri.
Hey, Bobby. I want to point out people should be watching the video because this is Sean Dad version 2.0.
I was going to say, you look pretty disheveled, man.
The greasiest hair, and I think I've been wearing this shirt for 3 days. It's an Animal Crossing shirt, but it's got chocolate all over it.
Oh my God!
You can see, and it's my own chocolate. It's not even like I can blame the kids on this. This is me eating a Wonder Bar, and just crumbs. I didn't even know like the crumbs from the chocolate were.
You probably smell ripe right now, boy.
No, I smell okay.
Yeah, okay.
I smell okay.
Well,
I think I'm all right.
It's kind of hard to tell by yourself.
My undercarriage may be a little different.
Chelsea's got a lot to look for. Well, right now there's really none of that going on anyway, so it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
No, it really doesn't. But you know, today is Black Friday as we record this. I might invest in a new shower head so I can shower in the basement here. So it's all good, man. We recorded. You know what? The last episode we did was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We recorded before the baby.
Yep.
Because last Friday, normally we record on Fridays. Last Friday I was falling asleep on a chair in the hospital.
Yeah.
And you know what, man? As it turns out, that was a better, softer, more comfortable spot than the hospital bed that Chelsea was sitting in.
Oh Lord!
On the last day, we were about to leave, and she was feeling a little bit better, so she was walking around. I'm like, I'm gonna try this hospital bed out. Like, it's pretty sweet, man. You can pop up and down, you can adjust like the angles and everything. I'm like, that sounds pretty good. And I'm sitting in it for like maybe 20 minutes. I'm like, my ass hurts like hell, man. Like what the hell is this thing doing on my tailbone? It was awful. And she sat in that for, gosh, 2-3 days straight. It's awful. It's terrible stuff what women go through for us. Everybody's go say hi to your mother for me. You know what I mean?
Don't get me started.
All right.
Listen, this childbirth is not supposed to be pleasant. They conned us into eating the apple, and it started from there. And
that's true.
This is all
that's true.
We
that's
could be living.
Story.
We could be living in paradise right now. That's that's
what kind of paradise has snakes running around though?
Well, they were walking around. They were walking around.
The snakes?
Yeah, you didn't know that? The snakes were almost like
Trogdor?
They were kind of like, you ever see Star Trek, that like lizard, that walking lizard? That's the way I envision them. And then because he conned Eve into doing it, he lost his arms and his legs, and the idea was he was going to slither on his belly. He was supposed to be the lowest.
Listen, I don't need you sneaking Toby's daughter into this with Evie and everything. I don't need any of that. It's Ellie.
Okay, yeah, I'm a little disappointed about that too.
Ellie, Bobby, Capri.
Yeah, you kind of ruined that. Like,
no, Bobby, Rybo. What did we come up with? Rybo in there. Purple Monkey Entertainment.
All that should have been there is Bobby. That's it. You
tried.
Dropped the ball, man. You let the woman dominate you, and she just put you under her thumb and just crushed your soul.
No, there was other names that I vetoed as well that we won't get into, but there was Ellie. It's Ellie.
You should have just
vetoed that one
too. You should.
Wait a minute, her name is Eve.
Yeah, thank you. What the hell, man?
Son of a gun. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Her second name.
She's the destruction of my soul. Man.
Holy crap!
The opportunity of doing good things and just down the tubes.
Yeah, Adam Leonard and Ellie Eve.
Yeah.
Also, Adam Leonard's son Elliot and my daughter Ellie are gonna be like peas in a pod, man.
Oh boy.
Love you, Adam. I said some trash about him, I think, on the Xbox Drive at some point. I don't remember. I don't really know what day it is today.
You ever notice that? Like, sometimes I'll say things. I do this all the time. I'll say stuff especially streaming now. I'll be saying stuff, and I don't even realize I'm saying it. And then all of a sudden, like today, I apparently said that Joe After Work is the most overrated Twitch streamer.
Wow.
And I was like, but I said it I was joking when I said it. I wasn't serious. I do know that part. And then, like, I guess what I was trying to do was say, like, to make it come off like, well, he's all right, but he's really good looking. That's
he is.
That's the thing. He's better looking than all of us. And I was trying to, like, chop him a little bit, but prop him up with a compliment. And I totally just come off real smarmy with it, you know. And then I said it, and I just, in my mind, it came out right, and it was okay. And I go about my business, and then all of a sudden I see Rybo like, "Wow, dude, I can't believe you said that." And I'm like, "What'd I say?" And he's like, "You just said this after work." And the most over, and I'm like, I did not say that. There's no way I said that. Like, and then all of a sudden I start thinking, I'm like, wow, I did say that, didn't I? Yeah. Like what is wrong with me? And I did it all the time.
It's okay. It's very presidential of you. It's very good.
The worst thing is like I say so much. I have so much content going out that I say so much stuff that typically, like, by the next day, I forget the stuff that I've said.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And I'm like, whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, everything's all right. We're all right. You know, whatever. And then all of a sudden, like, I'll hear stuff, and I'm like,
oh, son of a gun.
Did I really say that? Like, Joseph Moran's been calling me out on some stuff on P&P, and, like, I don't agree with some of the stuff, but, like, I guess there is proof to what he's saying, and I'm just like, wow, I could have sworn they said that, like, the stuff in December won't ever go up in the following year. Like, if a game launches in December, it's missed the window, and it'll never go up the next year, and then he's pulling out all these things that released in December, and they got nominated the next year.
Like what?
He was talking about Rainbow Six was one, and then there was another game too that he announced. But they both got nominated the next year. And
I feel like that was like ongoing game. I feel like that was a very specific example. Anyways, that's a whole other story.
Yeah, it's another story. It's another story.
You know what, Joe? So this is Bad Bit who's doing this?
Bad Bit, yeah.
Bad Bit, you can just relax. He's trying to pick fights with everybody. He's trying to like run over kids in his car.
He's
in the Xbox Drive.
Yeah, he's Mr. Hot Take. You know, that's what he...
take it. And he's all like, you know what? I'm your host, Joseph, and I just want to really do positive, man. I don't want to be negative. And then he's just picking fights everywhere.
I know he does. Everybody. He does. I will say this, though.
Son of a bitch.
I will say this, though. Yesterday and today, so yesterday it was myself, Pat, and Joe, and we were playing Fortnite together on stream. Man, hands down, my favorite stream I've ever done.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they had me laughing, and Pat is hysterical. Yeah. This kid, dude, right? So he's got the football uniforms, right?
Oh, yeah.
But he won't play.
I'm like, no, he doesn't. He has tank tops.
Yeah. Now he's his character in Fortnite. They did an NFL thing where you could buy a football player. You could put any team you wanted and any number. Well, he's taking upon himself that the only players he'll put are criminals. So he's got O.J. Simpson. He'll put the Buffalo Bills on with the O.J. Simpson. So
alleged.
So he puts. No, come on. Please stop. There's no alleged there. I don't care what anybody says. That was plain as day. But the best was he puts the Michael Vick uniform on.
Oh, my gosh.
The Philadelphia Eagles, number 7. And then puts a little doggy as the pet, and he's running around as Michael Vick with a dog.
Too easy. It's too easy.
It's like this should be how, like, somebody was not thinking when they said, here we go, this is okay. Like, somebody should have been like, no, that's banned. We're not going to allow this.
Just wait until the new vehicle in Fortnite is a white Bronco that you can just drive on the highway.
Well, that's what happened yesterday. We're playing, right? He's O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
And I'm on the back, and he's driving the motorcycle. And I was like, we really should switch places. Like, you should be, I should be Al Cowlings, and you should be O.J. Simpson, and we're just driving the white Bronco down the freeway. And he's like, dude, the stuff we were saying on that stream was just insane. But then today, man, I streamed for 5 hours today. And
you're getting it, man.
I started at like noon and went till almost 5. It was a little before 5. It was almost 5 hours. And I was playing Fortnite with all these different people. Like, people were actually showing up in the stream asking to play. Then they're jumping on Discord with me, and we're playing and we're doing matches. And then Bad Bit's like, hey, I'm going to play. I'm like, come on, man. And then we played for a bunch of hours again, him and I. And he is very entertaining, and he's very fun to play with. Like, Joseph and I just had this chemistry when we play games together. Like, we talk smack with each other, but it's not in a malicious way. It's very New Jersey.
It's New Jersey, totally.
Yeah, it's when I'm talking to him, I realize, like, anybody else would be getting offended by the stuff I'm saying, but it just rolls off of him because he fires back just as quick as I give it. Like, he's hitting you. It's quick. It's so great, man. It's so great.
My eyes out.
So we were talking before the show started about this whole streaming thing, and I'm like, and I'm in a crossroads at the moment where it's like I don't know whether to pull back from some of the YouTube content I'm doing and push forward with the Twitch streaming because I really love because it's at the core, it's what I love. I love to play video games. So it's given me this ability to play for multiple hours out on end and kind of like communicate directly with some new people that I haven't like really talked to before or played with before, and actually just giving me the opportunity to play with new people, and it's just really fun. You know, it's been a lot of fun, and I it's got me to the point where I'm just really at, like I said to you, I'm really at a crossroads where it's like, do I do my content I've been doing, or do I do my Twitch streaming that I've been doing? And it's like, and it's a shame because I know I have fans on both sides, and it's like, how do you appease everybody? How do you make everybody okay with what you're doing? So, you know, it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. I think, because you and I were talking a little bit, and I think I have an answer.
That's why I'm kind of staying quiet here. Just like I don't know how much you want to spill.
No, I don't want to go. I don't want to, because I'm going to test some things this week, but I don't want to go too deep into what I'm probably going to do. But at the same time, it's just like it's a weird place sometimes to be because you're just like, well, what do you do? What don't you do? And then Twitch trying to kind of change up some rules this week, which
that's okay though. I think that's okay what they did. It was a matter of time.
So this is what scares me a little bit. And I was talking to a friend of mine this week, right? And I was saying to her, because she watches a lot of Twitch stuff, right? And she was, and for those who don't know, basically what Twitch has come out this week and said, they changed their terms of service. You are not allowed to play copyrighted music during your streams anymore.
Yeah.
Which means
it was bound to happen.
Which means anything, like, people are basically playing games and playing Spotify. And so they would pull the video game music out and queue up the Spotify stuff. Someone that both of us know, you know her better than I do because you actually had an interview with her, Sarah Daniels. She does it a lot. Like, you go to her stream, she's playing Destiny, and she's just playing music over top of it.
Like a lot of PC players, mostly.
Yeah, a lot of people that play WoW, Diablo 3, a lot of those types of games where it's just kind of like really mindless stuff and there's not a lot of storyline to it. I don't want to say mindless. Mindless is a bad word to say, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
I know she...
stuff where you're just basically button pushing and kind of like attacking people and doing stuff, and you're not really like, there's no story content really going over it. A lot of games where they're grinding and stuff, and it's like, you don't need to hear a character going like, hit him with the axe, the axe, or that's stupid stuff, you know. So, but basically what happened was Twitch came out this week and was just like, hey, we're eliminating this. You're not allowed to play music that's not. So what they're... Someone also said to me was like, well, what about Just Dance? Like, there's people that stream Just Dance.
Yeah.
So now that those streams kind of disappeared to some degree, which I'm not trying to be, I don't know. There's a lot of...
That's a tough one, man. Like, I agree that, like, you shouldn't be able to, like, just swap out music and just have, like, I don't know, your Spotify playlist, but at the same time, like you said, I think, like, Rock Band, like, the main was not even Nintendo base at all, but... Rock Band and Guitar Hero, when they came out for the current generation, they missed out on this huge opportunity for like jumping on the streaming scene and like make a star out of somebody or have like a talent show or something like that. Yeah. So, that's definitely.
So what worries me is this: coming from the YouTube side over to Twitch, one of the biggest frustrations are music's getting strikes immediately, and a lot of why things get striked over on YouTube is based on music. A lot of times when Nintendo flags your videos, it's based off the music in the video games. Yeah. I know that Nintendo is starting to push a lot of their people to stream stuff on Twitch now. Which makes me wonder, is Nintendo getting ready to move into the Twitch realm? And are they going to start putting pressure on Twitch to start stopping people from playing their games over on Twitch? God. And if they do that, man, I'm going to be really upset. I'm not going to lie. Because
come play Xbox.
Yeah, I think I would. I think I would honestly. I think I would actually do. I would write a letter or something and just tell them, like, you're running the risk of losing a hardcore fan.
We should start a podcast where we pretend like we run Nintendo, and then we could talk about like what we would do in this specific situation. You can almost have like a topic.
Well, yeah. This way. I mean, because the truth is like, how do you? It's like you're alienating your fan base.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Okay, so when I stream, people are not there for the game. Some of them are. You know what I mean? But most of them are coming. Like, so here's the thing. If someone says, oh, you know what, I want to watch some Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu footage, and they go onto the stream. If they don't like the content creator, they're going to switch to another content creator that's playing the game until they find one that they like. And then they'll come back the next week for something. Like, I can guarantee you, I have a core fan base that comes to my shows, that comes to my Twitch streams. They're there for me and the game second. Because I can switch up the games and not even announce what I'm playing and change it, and that same core group is there. They're there for me. Yep. And when I do games like Toast Time, Smash Up, they are sitting there enthralled by the video of game footage, and then they're going like, hey man, I'm going to go buy this game tomorrow when it's released. And they go do that. And it's like, that is what it's all about. But when you got companies like Nintendo that believes it's the other way, that they're the star power, it's like, man, you're kind of out of touch with reality, man.
It's a tricky thing, man. Like, because Nintendo has always done things their own way, and in the long run, it has worked out for them.
Yeah.
But in the short term, like, if you're sticking to your guns on some of these things and you're off, like the Wii U, or there's a lot. I mean, online is a terrible example of how Nintendo's doing things their own way. If you're off, then you're really, like you say, alienating people. But I feel like the way that Nintendo is so true to their core in so many different ways, they have weathered all of these different storms that allows them to weather a storm like the Wii U. So like I'm back and forth on this, because in the moment I'm just like, what are you guys doing? But at the same time, it's like, company's over 100 years old.
Yeah.
These guys they know how to ride out these storms, and they're not like jumping at the next thing. But at the same time, like, there are developers and publishers that are going in or out of business based on the streamability of games. There are single player games that people don't want to watch on stream. There are multiplayer games that people want to watch on stream, and those games are selling like crazy. So in the moment, it seems like you got to get on the streaming thing, but who knows, man? Like, how many more incidents do we need to have where a streamer says something awful while playing a game, and then like that gets linked to, like, I get both sides of the argument. Yeah. And I'm not just trying to be like Canadian diplomat over here, but like, I get it, man. You start to open things up a little bit too much, and I don't know, it gets a little dicey.
Well, the thing too is like, where they also have this weird thing that happens, that if anybody talks out against Nintendo, they just get attacked. And it's like, you can have a valid point against Nintendo, and the fan base will legitimately turn on you and just eat you alive. And they'll hit you with the facts that Nintendo has force-fed them. Like, hey, this is our content. And it's like, yeah, but you don't get it, man. People are not coming to you. They're not coming to the streams for the Mario game. Because guess what? They go to a bunch of streams for the Mario game. They're coming for the content creator, the one that entertains them. Like, I guarantee
it's a community. It's really about the people getting together about, we all love Nintendo. Let's celebrate this game, or let's talk to people, like, find and learn about other people. Can I tell you something really quickly? It's not totally off topic though. So one of the things that we need to do around this house every once in a while is we need to distract Lincoln. He gets a little crazy. He's 1.5 years old. We need him to, like, get a little something. So he's learning how to say Bobby. He's learning to say Bobby. So he points at you and that whole thing. He loves Mario.
Yeah.
Right, so he's got a little shelf of all these little stuffies, and he points to them, and I do a voice. I do like a Mario voice and a Toad voice, and I've just learned that he loves to watch. Speaking of this, is a bit of a segue. He loves to watch Let's Plays of Mario 64. He
Really?
absolutely he likes Odyssey, but he loves 64, and he loves the way it starts out, like the Mario face jumping out at you, hello, and everything. He just goes crazy. He'll point at the screen, he'll look back at me, and he's smiling. He looks back at the screen, he's pointing, and he jumps up into the first level, and he's dancing. He's like moving his butt around and everything. And so this got me to number one. Yes, we need more Let's Plays of Mario and Nintendo games. That's probably where the future is going. So Nintendo, get on it. But it led me to connect the Wii back up in the bedroom.
Oh boy.
So I've got Mario 64 on there, and so he has just known this as a video. Like, it shows up on the TV, like any like Coco or Frozen or whatever, all the movies. And so I put a controller in his hand, and I fire up Mario 64, and he's pushing buttons and like looking up at the screen, and it's changing, and like he's running through like the script at the start. I was just like, I don't know how to articulate like the joy that I feel looking at him loving this game. Like, he is loving it with every cell in his body. He just sees this, and he loves hearing Mario, and he loves every noise that he makes when he jumps and he grabs things. It's just like looking at him play this 20-some-odd-year-old game. He doesn't care.
Listen,
and it's just Mario. It's just pure joy.
Let's be honest. You have zero care that he's excited about Mario. You're just excited that your son is going to be into video games, because we had this conversation.
Well, Mario's. What do you mean?
Stop. We had this conversation in the early days of this show when Chelsea first got pregnant, and you were so worried that the kid's going to be like, you and Chelsea can go downstairs and play video games.
I wasn't really worried.
You nerds can go downstairs, and I'm going to go over here and read books. And that's what you were scared about.
I remember that.
Because you were talking about Chelsea's.
It's probably still going to happen.
You were talking about Chelsea's aunt, that like she's all into video games, and her daughter just doesn't even care about it.
Yeah. Her aunt bought her cousin an easy bake oven. But for the aunt. So I think you want this. Okay, no, you don't want it. I'll go play with it. It's incredible. Firing up the Wii, and for me, just like, I feel like it's just so cool, and especially because he loves to point at things, like, and that's just how that thing works, and the sensor bar, it's so perfect, dude.
It's pretty awesome, man. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. By the way, the Wii shop closes on January 30th, 2019, as I found out. So I want to go shopping.
But the thing is you can't add money to it.
Right now, you can't?
No.
Oh, really?
They what they did was a year ago, they gave a deadline of when you could buy money. And then they were like, we'll keep it open for like another year after that. And then, I know.
I've got like 100 points. I've got like, what is 100 points going to buy?
You nothing.
Get me anything?
They get you like nothing, man. It's $1. You get nothing. You're done, man. You're done.
Shoot. Okay, well, maybe I'll fire up a Wii U. I got 2 of those sitting laying around.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway,
so
good stuff.
Let's jump into the first topic.
We have topics. Okay.
Yeah, we have a couple topics.
Okay.
So if we ran Nintendo, would we put out a successor to the 3DS/2DS, or would we focus more on the Switch and mobile? So this is a conversation that comes up a lot in the Nintendo community. Anytime Nintendo teases the idea of a new game coming to the 3DS, or they tease the idea of a successor to the 3DS, the Nintendo fans lose their minds, because they're just basically like, we have the Switch. That's the handheld. We don't need another handheld. And I think where this, it isn't even think, I know, where a lot of this comes from is during the Wii U era, it became this weird focus that Nintendo cannot handle 2 consoles at once.
Yeah.
Essentially because they don't have the third-party support to handle it. That was during the Wii U era. So when everything was on Nintendo's backs themselves, they struggled to put out content. So all the fans were like, well, listen, if Nintendo takes both 2 consoles and are developing for one, that's double the games. And then if they hit a lull where they're not getting third-party content, indie developers coming in, they'll be okay because they can do this stuff. Well, now they're getting the support, from the other console. And now the rumors start to come up again about maybe a potential successor, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
You and I did a topic last week where we talked about mobile games on the Switch, or on Nintendo games on mobile. And do they need more, and what games will we put on there, and all that. So that's kind of where this also comes off of it, piggybacks off of that one. Because it's like, there has to be an entry level, in my mind, for fans to get into Nintendo games.
Yeah, I agree.
And does Nintendo look, because they've always talked about these 3 pillars, and it never works. It always ends up going back to 2 pillars for Nintendo. So knowing that, does the 2 pillars, because Iwata talked about the 3 pillars, and he talked about the Wii U, the 3DS, and mobile. Are we in a situation where it just becomes mobile and the Switch, and that's the way we move forward? And I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
I am nervous because I do look at this as an option as Switch and mobile, and with so many people having mobile phones, like the numbers play into Nintendo's hands in a way, but at the same time, like if that was the case, then a lot of people, a lot of organizations, a lot of companies could make that work for them, and they're not. Like, why isn't PlayStation or Xbox having games on mobile and having that as part of like their strategy? It's so interesting to me that Nintendo, who has so long said like we are only going to put our software, our games on our consoles, and all of a sudden now they're up on Apple's stage with Super Mario Run and everything. Like, how did this happen? How did this change happen? And now look what we're talking. Like, this topic is not something that you see on any Xbox or PlayStation show. I think is super interesting. So I'm nervous to suggest that that's the future, only because kind of what we talked about before, which is what is true to Nintendo's core. I feel like mobile is not. I feel like mobile offers them an opportunity to try all the weird, stupid things, and like people who have like these crazy ideas that they want to work after hours or on the weekends for these like weird games. And that's kind of like where the mobile space lives. I do feel like, as you said, that there needs to be I believe there needs to be a successor for the 3DS or 2DS in the same way that the DS was a successor to the Game Boy, where if you remember back then, it was like, what else could there be? The Game Boy is the perfect portable system. It has warded off all these other things. Like, oh man, the Sega Game Gear came and went. It should have been better. It should have won, but it didn't. But Game Boy was like this monochromatic thing that just beat it out.
Yeah.
2DS, 3DS is great, but like you've got the mobile option over here. I don't know that's not part of Nintendo's DNA. Yeah. I don't feel that way. But with all that said, I am nervous. I do believe what you said is true, in that I don't think Nintendo is very capable of splitting their attention from across Switch and a 3DS. I already feel like that with the Switch right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lull. There's a lull in Nintendo games where they're porting massive amount of Wii U games over, and I feel like once year 3 hits, you can't get away with that.
Yeah.
Like, year 1, year 2, like, if you look at the model of the PlayStation 4. Year 1, year 2 was a lot of ports. And then year 3, PlayStation started ramping up their own first-party games hitting. And I feel like that's kind of the model that you can get away with. Year 1, year 2, because fans look at it as, well, it takes a couple years to get games out. We understand these are AAA games. It's going to take some time for you to get going. You're probably working on games a year to 2 years prior to the launch of the new console. So we'll give you 2 years in, but by year 3, you should start producing a lot of single-player stuff. Now, on Nintendo's credit, year 1 for them was a lot of new content coming out. Yeah. So, and there wasn't a lot of ports over. There was a couple. There was a few ports over, but essentially it was a lot of new content coming to the Switch in year 1. Year 2 has been very port-heavy. So, and now at the end of the year, we're starting to get back into the new content coming. Now year 3, what does that hold? And there's talks, and a lot of the talks that are, it seems like it's going to be new content. They're going back that way with the new content again. I'm sure they'll have some ports coming over, and I think that's where the honest criticisms are valid at that point. You got to stop this stuff. So now you hit the point of, if you eliminate the ports and Nintendo's producing content strictly for the Switch, are they going to be able to split apart and go do for both? And I don't think they can. I don't believe that they can do 2 consoles plus a mobile and be able to sustain that and be okay. Now, because
what, though, I start to think about like what games would you want on something that is like the Switch is everything. It's your mobile, it's your handheld, and it's your console. So if you had something that is a successor to a 2DS or a 3DS, it's just a handheld? In which case, like, is it differentiating itself enough from the thing that they created themselves? It's almost like they've cannibalized their own market in a way, which we're all experiencing. Anybody with a 3DS knows this.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm like, okay, let's explore this. Let's say that there is another handheld, dedicated handheld that is not something that plugs into a TV, or maybe it is. Let's pretend it's not. Is there a world where the Switch gets the like 3D versions of Mario and Zelda, like the Breath of the Wild, the Mario Odysseys, and the handheld gets your new Super Mario Brothers, like the 2D stuff, and a 2D like top-down Zelda?
Yeah.
Like, is that a world that people would want to live in? I don't think that's necessarily the case.
For me, I feel like more kids are playing on phones. You see every single kid under the sun with a cell phone in their hands. I have friends that their kids have better cell phones than they do. Like, I just shake my head and go, how the hell are you walking around with like a flip phone and your kid is walking around with an iPhone 7 or an iPhone 8? Like, how is this even happening? Yeah. And the kids are, it's the shut up device. It's the, here, give little Johnny your phone so they can stop crying. And they could play. That was a shot at you, Johnny Casino. I'm sorry. And so,
why do you got to give them $1,000 device though? Like,
but they do. You know what I mean? Like, think about it. Like, go into restaurants, and how many kids are holding, are sitting there holding an iPhone in their hand, playing video games.
I'm humming and hawing. I'm trying to get a Mario Maker 2DS, like that special edition that they've got coming out right now. They're not releasing in Canada.
Yeah.
And I'm humming and hawing. Like, do I spend $100 to import this thing in from the States for Lincoln? Yeah. And I'm like, that's where I'm at. Mm-hmm. But I can't imagine. Anyway, that's my personal.
So for me, when I look at it and I go,
I don't know if there's space for it.
I just think that you have one or the other, and you can't you can't add a third piece to this pie. And
I think it becomes a version of the Switch. Yeah. I think the Switch becomes like basically what they did with the 2DS to the 3DS. Mm-hmm. There becomes like a Switch-less, like you don't switch it or something like that.
Just kind of, it's more a Switch Lite or something like that. That's a
you can't dock it. Basically,
you can't dock it or whatever.
It's a little tougher. It comes with like a flip down or something like that. Maybe it looks like a tablet, like it actually like takes on more of that look of an iPad. Like it already kind of it's a tablet.
Yeah, it is a tablet.
To Mark Carabin's point that he would repeat a lot. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's the next world. Is it not necessarily a successor to the 3DS, 2DS, or even the Switch? It's just make this thing that I don't know how that cuts costs though. Like is there anything in
I don't
maybe
know.
A smaller screen?
That's where the crux come into it, where it's like it's got to be if you're going to go something that gets fans in, and you're trying to get like it's your entry level, it's got to be cheaper. It's got to be cheaper. I mean, that's the whole complaint of people that don't want to see the 3DS go away or the 2DS XL.
That's why I'm fighting so hard. That's exactly it. That's why I'm like, I want that. I want to have that $100 option so that I can throw this at my 2-year-old.
But I think that it's sadly, I think that the test for Nintendo is Mario Kart World Tour or whatever that game's called. Mario Kart Tour, Mario Kart game that's coming to mobile. If that game works for Nintendo, if that game sells like crazy, I think the day of a standalone handheld is gone as we know it.
Well, as we talked about last week, like there are definitely options. Yeah. Like you kind of just throw, and we're doing it right now, even just like whatever with mobile. But like we literally just talked last week about you could actually legitimately put a lot of these things on phones, and it would be great.
And that's where when I was thinking the conversation came from, and it arose from in my mind was because of last week when I brushed it off when you sent me the topic in my mind, I'm thinking, like, what the hell is he talking about?
Yeah,
what games
exactly.
are mobile? And then when we sit down, you start having the conversation, you start going like, damn, there are a lot of games you could put on mobile. And I think, look, Nintendo's a company that's about making money. So if you could basically have an entry-level console without the console and just put entry-level games out for it and win over fans, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
You're saving money on the hardware and all the R&D you have to do for a smaller hardware. And it's like, it just makes sense. If you basically like, well, Apple's putting out the device, we're just supplying the games, and by the way, a fan now sees this and they're like excited that they can play our games on the mobile, and then all of a sudden, little Jimmy's sitting there playing his mom's iPhone, and it's like, Mom, I really like this Mario Kart. I would like, this one that I just see now going on sale at Best Buy and all these places for Black Friday. That's a Switch with Mario Kart on the cover. Makes sense. Like, ultimately, that makes sense to me. And it's like, you're cutting costs. You're basically, as a company, you're cutting costs and just turning profit, essentially. Where you're
so I think we're on the same page. 2DS, 3DS, probably successor, probably not. Mobile owns that space. Yeah. So what allows Nintendo to do is, if they still wanted a third pillar, I'm going to put in my bid once again. Nintendo is the only company who will make VR a thing. Nintendo is the only ones. I know PSVR is giving a big push. It's probably the biggest push that's been happening since it started is right now. Big, huge sale going on. Everybody's buying it. But I truly believe that the games that, again, Adam Leonard playing the Astrobot thing, he was playing, I think, a Mario 64 clone with a crappy mascot. And I think that it's a great experience, but it's not a lasting... Yeah. Nobody's attaching an affinity to, or growing an affinity to Astrobot. Nobody's gonna like look back in 50 years and go like, oh my. Nobody's gonna have like sit their 2-year-old down and go like, wow, he's playing Astrobot for the first time. Like, who gives a crap? Yeah. Nintendo is the only company who will make VR everywhere, and it's just a matter of time when they decide like, we're gonna do it now, and they're gonna do it. I guarantee it.
So maybe that is the answer. The answer is to say like, hey, the third pillar does come in at VR, because I don't believe that Nintendo. Listen. And for those,
it's probably not even like real VR. That's the thing. It's not even like it's not the same headset. It's going to be some weird thing that they come up with.
Yeah. The thing is this: is people probably right now are getting ready to start writing comments and attacking because of the fact they're like, Bobby, why are you saying this? Why are you pushing this narrative? But my thing is that if you can give me one example of a time where Nintendo had 3 pillars and it worked, then I'll back off this. But every single time that they go in with this 3-pillar thing, one of the pillars falls apart.
But the other thing too, to keep in mind, the thing to keep in mind about that is that you have to have, with one of them falling back, it means that one of them is winning as well.
Yeah. No,
so it means that they're balanced in that way. So they never have like, they put out the one thing like Xbox, totally screwed. Yeah. I don't know, like maybe that's why they've started to blur the lines between PC and Xbox, is like, so they have a bit of a portfolio, but with like Nintendo or even PlayStation now, it's just PlayStation. Well, I guess kind of VR. I don't know. No. So that I just
PlayStation just, they're a different animal altogether. Where they're just not. They can't focus on more than one thing.
I agree. I mean,
they just they're like a toddler with a Matchbox car, and then they see another new shiny one, they just drop the old one and move to the next thing, and that's just how they are. And with Xbox, I think the problem with Xbox, sadly, is that they weren't successful ultimately as a console maker, and now you got Microsoft just turning around and going like, hey man, we do Microsoft Windows, and we push it off to all these different things, and we're making money hand over fist. You need to just start worrying about making money and stop worrying about these consoles. And if you put your game over on PC and it sells, at the end of the day, we're making money. Who cares? And I think that's what they look at it, and that's the way they look at things.
3 very different business models. This is so interesting, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Where Nintendo is, like I said, it's just not working out. The 3 does not work. So for me, for my money, I look at it and go, mobile is the answer in the future. It may not be, and when I say future, I'm not talking tomorrow. I'm not talking next year, 2 years. I'm looking long term. I think, like I said before, I think Mario Kart is the litmus test. That basically, that's where it makes or breaks. If that thing dies and does not do well, then I think Nintendo rethinks this all and goes. Then maybe they go, okay, we're going to kind of back off the mobile. But you know what? The games like Fire Emblem that are successful for them. You know what I mean? Like, I think it could potentially become something. I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
So
I just don't see them. I'm sorry. The last thing I'll just say is I don't see them being okay with that being their moneymaker. Like a game like Fire Emblem, as good as the money is, that game is not pushing. That's not pushing anybody's creativity. No. It's not really making anybody like stretch their imagination at all. And so Nintendo won't live in that sphere for a long time. Exactly. That's why they make their own hardware.
I agree. Okay, so the next one is next topic I have. Is if we ran Nintendo, how far would we go to get Microsoft to let us use Rare franchises in the future? So, I thought about this today, and I was like, if Nintendo, because I feel like Nintendo is at this point where, now more than ever, the pressure is on to start getting some Rare franchises back in their hands, whether it be Banjo and Smash or Banjo-Kazooie on an N64 Classic or anything like that, or even new versions of Banjo and stuff exclusive to Nintendo. Does Nintendo, like, if you ran Nintendo, what would you try to accomplish, and how far would you go to make it happen?
So my initial reaction to this was like yours with the phone, which is no, just close the books on Rare and that's it. But you put a different spin on it just now, which is there's not a lot happening. And Rare, in the Rare world, there are a lot of games, there are a lot of franchises and series and characters that Nintendo could really use right now. And so for that reason, I go, okay, maybe there's something to this. And also in the Microsoft camp, where they've acknowledged a similar situation, not a lot of exclusives, not a lot of people making games for them, and there's a lot of gaps. They've addressed that full on. They've kind of like brought the full might of the Xbox or Microsoft treasure chest and just buying everything up. So Nintendo's not too dissimilar in that way as well, where they're sitting on this giant war chest of cash.
Yeah.
So I'm of two minds of this, obviously. I initially thought, no, just let it go. The Rare games are not as great as everybody remembers, and I'm just saying that to kind of, tickle little people, especially Jacob Rush.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there is a special place in a lot of people's hearts for Rare games, and there is a gap in games. So I just wanted to kind of start with that to say, I think I might actually want to go after this in a way. But my question back to you is, do you feel that Rare maintains that linkage to Nintendo in the way that it always had? Like, do people think of Rare games and Nintendo as being one and the same, or has it been too long? Has the Microsoft taint kind of come across them?
I think when people hear Rare, they immediately still think Nintendo. Yeah. It's no different than Squaresoft or Square Enix. Like when you hear...
See, that's what I don't know. That's a good comparison, because I don't think Nintendo when I hear Square.
I still do. And maybe that's because I'm entrenched in the old, but a lot of people, when they think about it,
that's a great comparison. Okay, I just want to jump in just to say that Square Enix has fallen from grace in a similar way that Rare has fallen from grace, and it's not necessarily that Microsoft is like, you are ours. It's just that Rare hasn't done that thing. But maybe to your point.
So here's the thing, right?
Where do people start with them?
So Square is doing stuff with all these different companies, right? But the only company they're finding success with right now is Nintendo.
Yeah.
Every article you read about Square is they're doubling down with the Switch. They want everything on the Switch.
You know why? You know why it works for them, and maybe it would work for Rare as well. I just like the Nintendo creates these constraints, these limitations in their hardware. It's difficult to make games for Nintendo traditionally, and right now, like the processing power is not there for them to go. We're going to spend 10 years figuring out how to do Final Fantasy 15. They're going to spend a couple of years doing something very familiar with Octopath Traveler.
Yeah.
So it allows them to create a product that is possibly profitable, like probably very profitable for Octopath. It forces them away from just getting so carried away with themselves or getting up their own asses. So
that's
much
the thing. Like
15.
when you think of games like Final Fantasy 15, now Final Fantasy 7 remake, Kingdom Hearts, these games that start out as they should be just cut and dry,
it's outrageous.
Like 3 to 5 years. Here comes a sequel. They're 10 years.
Yeah, man.
Games should not take 10 years to make, ever. And if your company is taking 10 years to make a game and not pull Grand Theft Auto numbers, then you're doing something absolutely wrong. Yeah. And you need to rewrite the script and go back to basics. And that's the crux of it all, and that's where it all boils down to. So when I look at like a game like Rare Replay, and when that game came out, everybody just it brought up all this Nintendo nostalgia. And a lot of people that I spoke to was like, man, it just feels so weird to play these games on an Xbox. I think about it and I go, because I look at it from two angles when I brought this question up. My first angle was, well, what does Nintendo want to bring over?
Mm-hmm. That's what I was going to...
It's like, well, would they want to bring Rare Replay over? Because I never thought that this would end up... I'm holding Crash Bandicoot in my hand. I never thought that Crash Bandicoot would end up on the Nintendo Switch, and it has. So is there a chance that Rare Replay shows up on the Switch? And I think it's the perfect console for it, honestly. I think it works perfectly. So I look at it and I go, so if Nintendo says, hey, we would like to have that Rare Replay thing over here. We'd also like to have Banjo and Smash. We'd also like to have Banjo-Kazooie. Maybe a couple other franchises, Perfect Dark and all that, over on the N64 Classic when that finally launches. What do you want, Microsoft? Mm-hmm. And there's a couple things that Microsoft could say. They could turn around and go, we want some money back. You know, we want a financial piece of this. Or we want some Nintendo games on Microsoft. I
was gonna say, give me Mario Kart.
and my
maybe
thought,
Mario
Kart so then my thought pattern went to, man, would Nintendo do that? Mm-hmm. Would they take a Nintendo franchise and put it over on Microsoft? And my first reaction was, hell no, they would never do that. And I guarantee you there's people screaming at the radios or wherever they're listening to right now going, no, they wouldn't do that. No, they wouldn't do that. We also said the same thing about mobile.
Mm-hmm. That's why
we swore they would never go to mobile.
Yeah.
And again, this is if we ran Nintendo. This isn't if Nintendo ran Nintendo.
What's a franchise you would put on another console? What's something that you would let them have? So if I'm I don't mean to put you on the spot because I'll let you think of something. Yeah. So if I'm Xbox and I'm going, man, it would be really good if we had a little bit more Japanese representation.
Yeah.
Like I want Fire Emblem.
Okay. That's one I probably wouldn't have a problem letting go of.
And that's the thing. Like, it's not your Zelda, it's not your Mario, it's not even your Metroid or anything like that. It's kind of weird, and it's already made its way over to phones.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the tactical portion. Maybe even it's on PC as well. Maybe it's just a Windows thing.
Yeah.
That's something I want to play on a PC.
Because I think the Nintendo faithful, they look at it and go like, well, we don't want it to become a thing where, you know, Xbox fans get our games, and it becomes this whole us against them thing, and I'm taking out that nonsense. I think it becomes a thing of, well, do I need a Switch? And it becomes a thing of the Nintendo become a third-party company at that point. And if this was the Wii U era, I would go, hell no, don't do it. Hold your ground. Stay where you are. But now that they're having so much success with the Switch, I think you can kind of let those fears go away a little bit in terms of like, hey, we're going to give you this, you know, so we can get this. And if you give up a game like Fire Emblem, you know, and not give it up in terms of like never have it again, but maybe make a Fire Emblem collection, Fire Emblem Fates, like you take Awakening and Fates on and drop that over on the, or you go, hey, this new Three Houses game that's coming out, you take that and you put that on an Xbox, as well. So there is the potential for it to happen.
You know what the thing is, though, like that. I just want to bring us back into reality a little bit here. Nintendo doesn't, like, honestly, they don't. As much as Reggie started this console generation out by saying, like, we are really going to lean into the nostalgia, we're going to be, like, basically, it sounded like he was going to be telling us about, like, Virtual Console is going to play a lot of this.
Yeah.
I think what he actually was talking about at the time were the classic, the classic edition consoles.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, with them not really caring about selling us the old games all over again, like, I don't think that they're very motivated to go back to Rare at all.
Possibly not. I think, see, where I get confused a little bit is with Phil Spencer going to Nintendo and having a meeting with Nintendo.
Yeah.
And to me, that when a guy like Phil Spencer goes to Nintendo to have a meeting, I don't feel like you just go there to have a meeting. Things are happening. There's a reason why that meeting is taking place. There's moves being made. And I don't know that it's a meeting that, let's just meet each other.
You think more than just Minecraft? Like, Minecraft could be enough?
I don't think that Minecraft is a Phil Spencer thing.
What about, like, Minecraft Labo kind of crossover?
No.
Yeah.
I just don't see Phil Spencer going to Nintendo to talk Labo or to talk Minecraft. I think if Phil Spencer comes, he's talking Halo, he's talking Rare, he's talking big dogs. And and in the same respect, he's talking Mario, Zelda, all these other things, and just going like, what's possible? What is
That's
possible
a funny
to
thing
happen?
you say that about Phil Spencer too. That, like, he's kind of elevated himself from, like, the guy that we all think we could just, like, go grab lunch with to, like, no, he's a serious dude.
He
used to be, like, a number of years ago. It was like, okay, yeah, we could be buddy with him, but it's like, no, this guy's, like, head of Xbox.
Yeah, and he is making things happen. He's meeting with companies.
He's elevated himself for sure.
I look at Phil Spencer, right, and I think back to a couple years ago. I listened to him on Podcast Unlocked, and he was on there, and he was talking about how he just had a bunch of meetings in Japan. He went on, like, kind of, I don't want to say a world tour, but he went on the tour in Japan and met all these Japanese companies, right? He says this, and everybody's like, oh, yeah. And then this year it comes out, like, all these Japanese games are starting to end up on Microsoft on the Xbox.
Yeah.
So I look at it and I go, when Phil Spencer goes to meet you, it's not just to hang out and have coffee. Like, he's going there with an agenda. He's going there to try to make things happen. And he's very charismatic. And I think that with him and Reggie, now, granted, Reggie is kind of a mouthpiece. He's not necessarily the decision maker. He does what Japan tells him to do, and that's just the way it is. So I wonder. Then I start to wonder, well, how much pull was that conversation really at the end of the day?
Yeah.
The whole thing is interesting to me, and the whole concept is very interesting to me, because I don't feel like, if we were having this conversation 2 years ago when we started this podcast, I think the conversation starts and stops real quick, where, no, it ain't going to happen. But I never would have thought that we would be having this conversation at all.
Yeah, I as we kind of talk about this, I'm still going back and forth, man. Like, I think that I'm coming around to, who cares? Move on. I don't know. Like, okay, so, like, let's run through it. Like, Banjo-Kazooie, maybe Diddy Kong Racing.
Perfect Dark.
Perfect Dark is fine. Like, what the hell's Killer Instinct? Yeah, people didn't seem to, like, really love that even in the Xbox world. I think people have moved on from that from the fighting game perspective. Street Fighter is a better, I think, example on a Nintendo console. What's the one where on 64 you moving the trucks along? Blast Corps. Yeah, like it's fine. Like, again, these are all filler.
Yeah, Jet Force Gemini.
It's fine. Like, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just totally different. I don't know if you feel the same. For me, the rare thing that matters is Donkey Kong Country, and I feel like they've found their way with that.
I mean, to some degree, I agree with you.
As best as they probably could.
In some degree, I don't agree with you in terms of like when Rare Replay came out, that was a big thing. You know,
yeah, it was fine. I don't know. I played a bunch of it. It was okay. It's great. I love that I have Viva Pinatas, which is a 360 game.
But you're not a huge. I mean, I'm not. This is not a knock at all. But you're not a massive nostalgia Nintendo fan.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like my biggest, like my most hours put into a Nintendo console were the 64.
Mm-hmm.
And we were playing all those games. And my favorite game on Game Boy was Donkey Kong Land.
Mm-hmm.
And like those games, that's why that to me like that jumps out to me.
Yeah.
Like on Game Boy and on Super Nintendo, they were doing things that they shouldn't have been able to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's Rare's little niche.
Yeah.
Maybe there's something on a Switch that they can do similar to what we're talking about with Square. Maybe they need a little bit of focus, the limitation of the.
Let's just throw the.
I just don't know if I want.
Hold on.
Okay,
hold
so
on.
I'll put it this way.
So let's
I
just
don't
throw
want
the
old stuff.
Let's
I
just
want new Rare.
let's just throw the realm of possibility out. Maybe Nintendo's like, we want Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like Sea of Thieves couldn't run on a Switch.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, Sea of Thieves feels more like a Nintendo game. And there's so many of these things. This is the thing about Xbox, as we talk about. Like, Sunset Overdrive, Ori and the Blind Forest, and probably Sea of Thieves are 3 examples off the top of my head that if they were on any other console, people would go batshit crazy about.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Xbox fans don't know what to do with those games.
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves would do great on a Nintendo platform. So I don't know. Maybe if the topic is should Nintendo go after the old stuff and try and get back from take the ownership back from Microsoft to get on a Switch, my answer is no. But if the question is how bad should Nintendo fight to get Rare back and making games for them, perhaps even exclusively, I think you want to fight pretty bad.
Yeah.
And also to address the whole notion of Xbox having like 13 or 14 or 70,000 studios now. If you can take one away and have another one in your camp, I think that would be better for Nintendo in the long run. But I think that's never going to happen.
Yeah, I don't either.
And I think Nintendo was too proud
for
that. They didn't realize how good Rare was when they let them go.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Rare's stock has dropped significantly since then.
Well, I think they knew exactly what Rare was. And they put an offer in for Rare based upon what they knew the value was.
Oh, I see what you mean. And everybody else came in and overvalued them. And
everybody thought that. Listen, we've had a conversation. You
don't want
to admit it. You don't want to admit that they dropped the ball because they thought Rare owned Donkey Kong.
I don't think that's what happened.
That is absolutely the truth. That is absolutely the truth. From Phil Spencer, he said it. Not that he thought it, but he had said that other people thought it. Anyway, exactly. You better back.
So what do you think? I've kind of like. What do you think? I've drawn the lines of the various paths that I would take.
So if I'm Nintendo, I don't think I give up anything in terms of franchises. I would give cuts. I would say like, hey, listen, we would like to have Rare Replay here. Obviously, you'll get a percentage of the money. You know, we just want to have this game over here for nostalgia factors. With that, we would like to bring Banjo into Smash. You'll get a cut of... I don't know how that works. I don't know whether they get a cut of the amiibo or they get a cut of... I don't know how that logistically works.
There must be some sort of like license purchase.
There's got to be something. There's got to be something
rights.
Because they're doing it with multiple companies and everybody's all on board. And then the other thing I would say to them is, how do we get other franchises that Microsoft has over here? And I mean, is it crazy to think that like a Halo ends up on Switch or, you know, Gears? I mean, crazy for you because you don't want to let up that stuff. But like, does Microsoft just, because we see what Microsoft is doing right now, where they just don't give a damn. They just want to make money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy to think, like, holy cow, that's mind-blowing to think that this could happen. But let's be honest. Could it be a potential that Nintendo says, like, hey, we want you guys to help us work on the next Metroid game? Because a lot of the people that worked on the original Metroid Prime series is over at Microsoft now.
That's an interesting point. But, I mean, next Metroid's already underway.
No, well, yeah, but who knows? I'm just saying.
Maybe that's what they're meeting about.
Me, who the hell knows? You never know. I don't think that game's as far along as everybody thinks it is.
I totally agree with you.
Everybody thinks it's a 2019 game, and I got a newsflash for you. That game ain't coming until 2020, 2021. Easily.
Yeah,
Easily.
They're not. They are in no rush for that.
No, not at all.
No.
Not at all.
Honestly, I think we get a new Mario Kart on Switch before we get Metroid 4.
I'm with you. You.
I'd buy it.
So let's rein it in real quick. We'll wrap this up. Man, I really don't. Other than throwing some money and trying to get a couple of things on Microsoft over, based in reality, I don't think we ever see a Halo come over. I don't think we see a Gears. I'm just throwing that stuff out there just to play devil's advocate.
Sure.
Ultimately, I think what happens is Nintendo's only interest is maybe a Banjo in Smash or Banjo on the N64 Classic. Other than that, I don't think they have any care.
Who cares? Yeah, who cares? They have the best mascot in all of video games.
I get that, Sean, but when nostalgia plays a role in people, when you look at the N64, some of the best games were those rare games. That's just a fact. At the end of the day, that's a fact. Go back and listen to our episode where we broke down the N64 Classic a year and a half ago. We were bringing up the fact of, like, we were struggling to find games to put on this thing.
And that's my counter to that point is just that maybe the N64 didn't have as many great games as we thought.
It didn't. And people can.
So that's the harsh reality, and that's why we don't have an N64 Classic right now.
Yeah, and I think that's why they're negotiating with Microsoft to try to get a couple games.
But why go after? I don't know, man. Why go after like the weakest stuff? Like the best stuff is Super Nintendo, NES, probably GameCube. I don't know, and the first party 64 stuff
because they own the Donkey Kong stuff outright.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is if you can get, I don't care what anybody says, you launch an N64 Classic, and you go, we got Banjo on here. People will lose their minds.
See, okay, so that's for some reason it's different, but I agree with you.
Nintendo fans
so if the conversations are
minds.
just give me rare stuff for an N64 Classic and that's it, I'm on board.
Yeah.
If it's give me rare stuff for Switch, for some reason I don't like that.
No, I don't think that's even in the conversation.
It has to be just like this one time like nice package thing. Yeah. Nintendo and Microsoft or Rare come together for like this come to Jesus moment. You get your N64 Classic. Everybody gets to just dance around that.
Yeah.
I'm on board for that.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, and people can leave comments down below at youtube.com/Nintendo Guru. Let me know if it's different for you. Like, I don't know why that strikes me so like two completely different worlds. I don't want Rare stuff on my Switch, but obviously we need Rare. It's central to that console. It doesn't seem to have a place at all on Switch. I don't know. It's so weird.
It's different. It's different. I don't know. So that is all. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of If We Ran Nintendo. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like the video, go rate the podcast, do all that good stuff. Get us out there, share us, let people know about us, do all that good stuff. You can follow Sean Capri, Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants. You can follow Jason Lacy over at JW Lacy. You can follow me at Nintendo Gurus. That is all. Peace out, Preston.
Bye. Peace out, Conquer.
Get out of here.